guys, what's up? We are here for the Morning Edge here at OddsChecker. I am joined by two of the sharpest bettors on the internet. I've got Matt here and Ben, who you guys probably know as We Beat the Spread. Guys, happy Wednesday. How you feeling?
Good Wednesday, guys. Feeling good. Tourney's getting going. Big day tomorrow, but still got to take care of some business today, so lots to get into.
How about you, Ben?
Doing pretty good. Went 8-0 yesterday. But you know what? Last week, I also had a sweep coming into the Morning Edge, and then I ended up doing horrible. So hopefully it's not going to be the same this week.
Okay.
I'm going to try to carry that momentum into this week instead of doing horrible. That's never fun.
Well, before we get into that, let's get into what happened yesterday on Tuesday. Matt, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, look, this makes me look bad, but it was my only college basketball loss of the day, so I'm not going to even recap it. I'm going to talk about my wins. So
Okay.
I did win on Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Pitt, Wisconsin. Those teams all came through for me. Villanova, though, they did not. So that
It happens.
It happens, and the score guy should be fired because what he did at the end of the game was Villanova was down by 5, and they had a chance to backdoor. Caleb Daniels, who played the worst game that I've ever seen of any Villanova player in the history of the school, he shot the 3 for the cover. So I was like, all right, this is not going in. We already knew it happened. Pretty sure he had a Liberty ticket in his pocket, but he misses the 3. They miss a clear tip-in that I'm pretty sure Ben could have made, and then it's over. Right? And then so the score is really 62-57. The scores guy, I don't know if he thought it was funny. I don't know if he bet Villanova, what it was. He put up 62-60, right? So I literally rewinded my TV and I'm like, wait, that didn't go in, right? Like it just starts messing with my head. Then I see people on Twitter talking about it. Basically, the guy was just trolling us and we lost. So yeah, tough one there. Me and Krabs were oppo. I think he had Yale there. That was a pretty good game. They made it close at the end. They did make it close, but I'm sure Krabs will bounce back with a pick tomorrow. So means we're due for today, guys. Not always a bad thing because now we expect a sweep tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this actually sounds really good if we're due today because we are revealing, in other words, your bracket. Let's take a look at it, shall we?
This is going to take a little, guys.
This one. I think I'm just going to trail you in my company pools, and we'll see how it goes.
It could go really good. It could go really bad. If you win, though, I'd like a percentage. I think that's fair. And then
it's not. But continue.
If I lose, then yeah, it is what it is. All right, so we're gonna break this down. I did try to tweet a picture out of it yesterday. It was a little blurry. That's my fault. So this time you guys can see clear. No one can get mad. We're not going to go through every single game, guys, because I don't want to waste too much time, but we'll break it down. So Alabama, obviously, they're going to win. They're probably going to win by 100 points. Here's a game. I think Maryland, West Virginia is a good one. Maryland, though, I do like. A lot of people making a big deal out of the fact that Maryland has not won often on the road. West Virginia only has one more road win this year than Maryland, so they've both actually been really bad road teams. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think they both struggled away from home. I think Maryland's a better team. They have the best player on the floor in Jameer Young. I think he's a guy who can really take over a game. West Virginia hasn't really had a guy that can do that this season, so I do like Maryland. My first upset will be Charleston over San Diego State. San Diego State, obviously, really good team this year. They didn't beat a team in the top 25. Now, obviously, Charleston, they didn't play anyone great either, 31-3, and you're a 12 seed. Probably means you didn't have a great schedule. But I do think Charleston has enough offensive firepower to pull off the upset. Kind of just comes down to what team can control the style of play. San Diego State, they want to play slow, muck it up, whatever. Charleston, they want to play at a quicker pace. If their offense can get rolling, I think that they can pull this one off and win the game. And then Virginia over Furman. A lot of people are taking Furman over Virginia. It's almost become one of the most trendy upset picks. I'm going to go opposite here. Tony Bennett has a ton of experienced guards, whatever. They have enough guys. Creighton, NC State. Like Creighton pulling that one off over NC State. Should be a pretty good offensive game. Maybe an over there. Both teams can fill it up, but ultimately, I think Creighton gets it done. Baylor, I have the Bears going far, so they better beat the Gonchos. They're gonna be battle tested though. It's gonna be a good game, but I do think they pull it off. And then here's one I think will be a really good game: Missouri, Utah State. I like Utah State in this one. The line is continuing to move their way. Utah State's team that could really shoot, really good defensively. Their head coach I think will be at a power conference in a couple of years. Odom, he's done a great job with that program, kind of putting them on track. And then I got Arizona. What's your guys' thoughts on that? I need some feedback from you guys because I need to take a breath before I pass out. This is the quickest I've ever talked in my life.
Ben, take it away.
Well, okay. The only thing I'll say is that for one
Ben?
seed, Alabama is actually my least favorite one seed this season, just
Wow.
because of one thing that's big in March Madness is the turnovers. And not only does Alabama actually have a turnover issue on offense themselves, they're 241st in turnover percentage, but they're also 305th in turnovers forced. So they're not getting a lot of turnovers. Obviously, they have a really good offense. They have like the best defense in the SEC. So like they're really strong there. And they have like some amazing true scorers. They obviously have Brandon Miller, Clowney and all them when they're not getting in foul trouble, which almost was an issue in the Texas A&M game, but they ended up pulling it out anyway. I just don't love them as a one seed. I could see, this is going to sound weird, but Virginia maybe could give them an issue if they can just hold them down. Because I mean, Virginia, they're obviously like an amazing defense. They have a ton of tournament experience. So I could see them giving them trouble. Of course, it's a pretty big upset to pick, but I think if anything, I like your pick Baylor there over Alabama because I think that is where they will fall if they don't fall to Virginia. I don't agree with the Charleston pick. Obviously, it's a 5 versus 12, and to be fair, 5 seeds are only 21-19 straight up since 2012 in the first round. It's the most popular upset. But there are other 12 seeds I think that have a better shot. I just think San Diego State, I know they didn't do well last year in the tournament, but I like them a lot this year. They're arguably even better, even though they lost some key pieces, but they just do everything well. They have one of the best defenses. Their offense is looking a little bit better maybe than last season, but they force turnovers. So I do like them there. And that Missouri game, I agree, that's going to be a really good game. I actually have Missouri in that one, but that's a really tough game for me. That's like a toss-up. So other than that, I think everything else I had the same.
Everything checks out. All right, I like that. All right, so let's move down. Let's go to the next region. As we
All
move
right,
on.
let's go. I do like that Alabama doesn't make it to the Final Four. So
Me too.
Okay.
Worst one seed.
Nothing like the sport. All right, here we go. Purdue, whoever they play, they're going to win by 100. Memphis and Florida Atlantic. I think this will be a really good game. I like the way Penny Hardaway has the boys playing right now, though. Come into this tournament pretty hot. They beat Houston. I know there was no Sasser. It's still a really good team. They were able to take care of business there. So I think Memphis continues on against Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic, they're a good team again, but they didn't really play anyone during the season. This will be their toughest opponent. I think it's difficult to play your toughest opponent in March Madness. I mean, I don't think they're going to be well prepared for the kind of athletes that Memphis has. So I like the Tigers there. Here's a game that everyone's talking about, guys. Duke Oral Roberts. A lot of people love Oral Roberts in this spot. I think it's because of what they did a couple years ago. I don't even think it's about the current team. I think people just see them as like a trendy dog, and they're like, oh, this team won a couple years ago. They went on a run. They got that guy, Max Abrams? Listen, I don't think – yeah, see, I don't even none of it matters. All right, Duke's going to roll them in this game. I would take Duke spread. I'm taking Duke alt minus 15, whatever. I think Duke blows out of the water in this spot. There's no team right now in college basketball that's hotter than Duke. They're hitting on all cylinders. They have an experienced guard in Jeremy Roach, and then they're really young. So I do get that they're a young team. But they just went and won the ACC tournament. I get that it was technically in the state that they play, and people are going to use that kind of as a crutch against them. They still proved that they could play away from Cameron Indoor and win big-time basketball games. And they knocked off Pitt, they steamrolled Pitt, right? And we saw what they did last night. They knocked off a really good Miami team. They knocked off a really good Virginia team, and they completely controlled those games. So the way Duke's playing right now, you do not want to fade this team. They have some of the best freshmen in the nation. I think Filipowski's one of the best players in this tournament, and so I think that they do get it done. Here's gonna be my upset, and a lot of people won't like this, guys. We're sorry the comments are not working right now. By the way, someone just DM'd me asking about that. Just do want to point that out. We'll try to get that one fixed, but. Louisiana, I'm going to take them over Tennessee. Mentioned Ziegler is out for Tennessee. This is a kid who leads them in assists, steals, second on the team in scoring. It's kind of the engine that makes them run. Offensively, defensively, he's a tone setter. I think they're going to struggle without him in this game. Louisiana is one of the best big men in the tournament. This kid who was the Pac-12 preseason player of the year at one point. Brown, who comes into this game, he was a transfer from Arizona. I think he can really make it difficult on Tennessee. I like Louisiana there as an upset, and I'm comfortable with taking an upset pick here because I have Duke advancing to the Sweet 16. So, I mean, even if Tennessee pulls the game off, the way the scoring should work in your brackets, it shouldn't kill you. I think it's worth taking a stab at. Kentucky over Providence. Listen, I think this could be a really good game. Providence kind of fell off, though, as the season ended. Ed Cooley's done an outstanding job. Obviously, National Coach of the Year a season ago. He has his boys always ready to play, always prepared. But Kentucky's a really dangerous 6 seed just because of the talent they have. They got off to a sluggish start, but they were able to kind of turn their season around. Even got back into the top 25 at one point. John Calipari and Kentucky, they're due for a run. It's been a long time since we've seen Kentucky make a run. I think they get it this year. Kansas State, I think they take care of Montana State. Montana State, decent team. Just don't think they can match up. I think Kansas State's a bit underrated in this tournament coming in. I know a lot. I mean, I have them losing to Kentucky too, but they're a team that could go on a run. I mean, they had 2 guys that were second-team All-American in Keontae Johnson, and so they have a lot of talent there on that roster. Michigan State, USC. I think Michigan State gets done. Izzo in March. Don't want to fade it. USC is kind of a trendy dog right now. Their guard play with Tyson Walker and AJ Hogarth about as good as anyone in this entire bracket. I mean, they have 2 outstanding guards that can take over games. You have an experienced coach. You have experienced bigs. I like the way they match up here. If they can take Boogie Ellis out of this game, USC is going to struggle. And then I got Marquette over Vermont. Krabs had Vermont over Marquette yesterday. I think he had Vermont going all the way to like the Sweet 16. That's one I think Marquette actually can make a run here. A little bit of an underrated 2 seed in my mind, which is crazy to say. But Shaka Smart's done an outstanding job with the team this year. They're playing their best basketball. They roll in, winning a Big East tournament. So I think they're playing too well right now to fade, and that's where I'm going to go at the moment. Ben, what do you think about this part?
I actually agree with the Marquette thing. I love. I do think they're the most underrated 2 seed. I'm glad you actually haven't been going that far. In one of my brackets, I have 2 so far. I actually have them going to the championship. They have one of the best turnover ratios in the nation, only behind Missouri, funny enough, and UCLA. On top of that, obviously, they have Shaka Smart, one of my favorite coaches in college basketball, and they have a really good offense to go with it, too. So I like them to make a run. I don't necessarily agree with the Louisiana-Tennessee pick, but it doesn't matter to me because I have Oral Roberts winning over Duke. Like you said, it is a pretty popular pick.
Wow, and you're wrong.
Oh, I don't like that, Ben.
Yeah, I have Oral Roberts. It is one of them. From what I've seen, it is one of the more popular 12-5 picks. But you have to have at least 1 or 2 12-5 picks, and I think if you look at like the likeliness of all of them, this is the most likely 12 pick for me, just because obviously Duke with the new coach and everything, and honestly, their freshmen haven't been super impressive to me. That sounds stupid, but the thing is they're freshmen and they're young. That doesn't necessarily bode well in like a tournament setting. Filipowski, obviously, like their stud. All of those guys, like I understand they can make a run, and I understand they're really impressive freshmen, but they're still young players. At the end of the day, you got to remember these are literally like kids. They're like 19 years old, and they have struggled with turnovers this year. They're 273rd. In turnovers on defense. They're almost 200th in turnovers on offense. So they have struggled with turnovers already. They're going to be in a tournament setting against Oral Roberts, who's a way better turnover margin. They have a ton of experience. They're actually one of the most experienced teams in the nation. They're like basically their entire roster is upperclassmen, including those guys from the 2021 team that, like you said, they made that little run. They were a 15 seed. They beat Ohio State and Florida in that game. They only lost by 2 against Arkansas when they got bounced. So, I mean, and it's basically the same team. Max Abmas, they have that Isaac McBride guy still, Kareem Thompson. So a lot of the same players from that same team. So I like them to make a run. I think they'll beat I honestly think they have a good chance against Tennessee because of what you said, Zakai Ziegler. He's like one of the best defensive players on the team. Without him, I could honestly see Oral Roberts making a little bit of a run here, maybe a Sweet 16 run. But I think other than that, I have most the same. I have Providence over Kentucky in one of my brackets, but other than that, I think everything's the same in this region.
Ben, I'm sorry, your Oral Roberts pick's wrong. But hey, we'll see, right? I mean,
Matt, I'm not going to disagree with you here. I love Kyle Filipowski.
Yeah, he's hot.
And John Shearer has been super hot too. So I think I love this pick. I love how far you have Duke going. I think this is it. I think you're on the money here.
See, Ben? Melissa thinks I'm good. Nope. So that's what I'm saying. Listen, if they lose first round, my bracket's dead. I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
I'm thinking you'll see how far I have Duke, but you can kind of see how far I have Duke. But all right,
I will say Duke's really hot right now, and momentum is a big thing for the tournament, and I do believe that. But Oral Roberts, if you're talking about momentum, they actually have the nation's longest active winning streak at 17 games, and I know they play in the Summit League. I'm not saying that's like anything crazy.
Yeah, it's basically like you, Melissa, playing men.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I mean, they are hot. They haven't lost in a while, so they have confidence at least.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. Okay. All right. We're gonna zoom
Time
out.
will tell.
We're gonna zoom out and then zoom back in. Guys, one more time, we do apologize to everyone watching. There's an issue with Twitter with the broadcast, so that's why you guys can't comment something with us. We just confirmed that. So sorry, no comments for today. But if you have anything, feel free to message us or comment just on Twitter. All right, Houston, Northern Kentucky. Shout out to Northern Kentucky. Maybe some good money there in the conference tournament. They're going to lose by 95 points. Houston's going to kill them in that game. So that's where we're going to start. Iowa Auburn. This is a game a lot of people have been talking about. Got some DMs this week, guys, saying, you know what, take Auburn. It's going to be a home game. I go there. There's a lot of people there showing out for that game. But I think I think Iowa ultimately gets it done. Now, Fran McCaffrey, there's that whole thing. No Sweet 16 appearances. He's really struggled in March. I get it. Auburn, from an offensive standpoint, though, can really struggle to score the ball. I think Iowa is the more talented team here. If Chris Merritt can get going, this is a kid that was an All-American this season. I believe he was second-team All-American, maybe third-team All-American. But the bottom line is he could fill it up. They could really shoot the basketball from distance. I think Iowa is a dangerous 8th seed here. I know we say it every year, but I think they're due for a run, so I'll trust them there. This Miami-Drake game has got a lot of attention because of the line. Miami's down to -2. I believe it opened at 3.5. So I'm going to admittedly say I do not like the line movement because I'm guessing the public is on Miami and the line is still dropped. But I think Miami does get it done here. Drake's a good team. They have some guys who can really get it done. They have experience on that roster. But Miami's a team that I love. Now, there is injury news. Obviously, you have to make sure Miami, the bigs are playing for them. But their guards are so talented. I think they have so many different ways to score. They have so many different guys that can kind of take over a game. I can't fade them. Jim Larinaga, one of my favorite coaches in this entire tournament. So I think Miami gets it done in what should be a really close game with Drake. And then I think if they move past them, then they go on a run. This is going to be the toughest game, in my opinion, for Miami to start off. A lot of people taking Kent State also over Indiana, kind of a trendy 13-4 upset. Not sure why. Kent State played in the MAC. With no disrespect to the MAC, but we saw Toledo, who was the second best team in the MAC. They got smoked last night by Hunter Dickinson in Michigan. That's bad. Michigan is not a good team this year. They proved that time and time again. Kent State, while they, support a good record, they can fill it up offensively. I get all that. They have nobody that is going to be able to hold down Trace Jackson Davis or Jalen Hood-Schifino. I mean, those two players right there are better than anyone on Kent State. I mean, you can make an argument that they have the 3 best players on the floor. Indiana, in my opinion, is just more athletic, more talented. They have the better players. They're just bigger, stronger. It's just kind of like that power conference versus non-power conference argument. And I think Indiana rolls in this spot. I don't even think it's going to be all that close of a game. I like Pitt. I took them last night against Mississippi State. What a game that was, by the way, guys, last night. I mean, that was an outstanding game. This is why we love March Madness. Both games were really good. But that game truly was just back and forth the entire time. I mean, there had to be 75 lead changes in it.
There was 21 tie. There was 9 ties and 21 lead changes. If I wanted to just let you know right there.
No, see, Melissa's on top of it with the stats. Yeah, I mean that was great. That was good timing. I mean, I think that this is a Pitt team that can go on a run. They played most of that game without Barton, who's one of their better scorers. Got the bucket late in that game. He had 2 fouls in the first half, and then he picked up his third with like 18 minutes in the second half. So honestly, I thought they were going to fall down every time he was off the floor. They kept producing. They kept coming up, making plays. This is a really dangerous Pittsburgh team. Iowa State, you guys know my relationship if you watch this game, watch the show with Iowa State. Just don't like them. I don't know if offensively they have enough to keep up here with Pitt. Pitt can really shoot the ball from 3, which in the tournament we know that could be a difference in a game. So if Pitt can fill it up from 3, if they could play their game, I'd like them to get this one. Here's going to be a big upset: Kennesaw State over Xavier. So this is one that a lot of people obviously are not going to have on their bingo card, but first time in school history, Kennesaw State makes the tournament. Let's get them a win, guys. Why not? They impressed me this year every time I did watch them play. Experienced team, good guard play. I think they can get it done. Xavier, obviously, without Zach Fremantle, that didn't slow them down too much. It still looked pretty good in the Big East. Although they almost lost to DePaul, right? So that's pretty bad. That's almost like I think Kennesaw State would beat DePaul. So it's a long shot. It's an upset, but get it down. You got to take some chances here. especially when you have them losing anyway in the next round. So even if Xavier won this game, I would have took Pitt over Xavier. I'm going to trust Kennesaw State here on a long shot to get it done. And then I'm going to go Penn State over Texas A&M. Ben, you were upset I didn't have Jalen Pickett on my top, what was it, top 5 list or top 10
Top
list?
10. Very upset.
Sorry about that. But I do have them winning this game, so hopefully that makes you happy. I think Penn State, the way they're playing right now, and I know Texas A&M comes into this game playing pretty well because they also made their conference championship and kind of got embarrassed by Alabama. Penn State, meanwhile, they were shooting for the win against Purdue. They just continue to impress me. I mean, from the spread standpoint, I think they're +3. Definitely take that. I think it's a close game regardless. Penn State right now, they're playing so well. They'll have the best player on the floor in Jalen Pickett, and they have guys who could really shoot the basketball. Andrew Funk led the Big Ten in three-point shooting. Miles Dredd, we know he could shoot it. They don't have a true big. I think that could be an issue for Penn State at times. But matching up with A&M, I think they match up pretty well. And you know what? We're just going to ride them. They've been hot at the moment, so we're going to take them. Then Texas, like I always say, Colgate, nothing more than a toothpaste. Texas is going to get it done there. What do you think about that?
I like it. I agree with what you said about Texas A&M. So I actually have the same thing. I have Penn State over Texas A&M. Penn State, they're playing really well right now. Texas A&M. The thing I don't like about them, well, one thing I don't like is Wade Taylor. He's obviously like, if he isn't scoring, they're not winning. And we kind of saw that in the Alabama game. He only had 13 points the whole game. I think, I don't remember, don't quote me on this, but I think he had like 1 field goal or something in the first half. He might have even been scoreless. I know he had a very, very low output in the first half at least. And obviously they were blown out. Like, it just seems like when he isn't going, the team isn't really going. And I don't love teams that kind of just, I know Jalen Pickett's kind of the same, but Penn State has more scores at least. It seems like Wade Taylor is the deciding factor for them. Penn State does have other options outside of Pickett. Like, they have some really good 3-point shooters, Seth Lundy, Andrew Funk. So it is a little bit different there. And I do agree, Jalen Pickett's the best player on the floor. They're just playing with a ton of confidence right now. And I think that really close game against Purdue, who's a 1 seed, is just even more confidence coming in here. Texas A&M kind of got blown out by Alabama. So I don't know. I don't love a team that relies on free throws as much as they do. They're like 3rd in the nation in free throw attempts. And outside of that, their offense just doesn't seem like they're super coherent offensively. I think part of that is the Wade Taylor thing. So I like Penn State a lot there. I do think they'll get beat by Texas in the next round. And I think Xavier wins over Kennesaw State. I don't necessarily agree with that one. But, of course, that's a 3 versus 14. Not a super obvious pick there. The Miami run, I love. I love Miami to make another run here. Just the same thing last year. Jim Larinaga, he's a March coach. I love their confidence. They have the confidence from last year. So I love that one. And I like the Iowa pick. I actually like Iowa to beat Houston in the round of 32. I'm going to say it. I think the team that beats Houston is going to be just an offensive team that can just go on a crazy hot run. And Iowa is that team. We've seen it. They put up 100 a few times this year. They're one of the best offenses. They play with a ton of confidence on offense. They have they have a ton of senior guys who can lead them. They have Rajavuori, who holds it down low. They have Chris Murray, who's an elite scorer. They're just playing. They're playing really good on the offensive side of the court. I know they aren't good defensively, but that's not how they're going to win this game against Houston. If they beat Houston, it's going to be because they put up like 90 points or something crazy. And they're a team that I could see doing that. Outside of that, I think Miami, like you have them beating Houston, I would agree that if Houston does beat Iowa, which they probably should, but you got to pick some upsets. So I'm picking Iowa. I think they're going to lose to Miami as well, kind of for the same reason. Miami, another team that can go off and explode. So I don't have Houston going super far, just like I don't have Alabama going super far. So I almost like the 2 seeds more than I like the 1 seeds this year, which sounds kind of weird, but that's just how it is for me on my bracket.
All right, let's go to the last part of the bracket here while we continue this, and then we'll go a little deeper. All right, Kansas, obviously they're going to win against Howard. That's not going to be fun for Howard. Sorry, you guys got to play Kansas. That's going to be a blowout. This side of the bracket, though, I think there's a lot of interesting matchups. This is one of them. Arkansas, Illinois. Listen, Arkansas entered this year as a top 10 team. Illinois entered as a top 25 team. So both had somewhat disappointing seasons from that standpoint that they fell out of their rankings. But these are still 2 really talented teams, both power conference teams, played in really good conferences this year. Arkansas, they're going to have 2 lottery picks without a doubt in Anthony Black and Nick Smith Jr. They're both going to go in the lottery. currently right now projected, I think, 6th and 7th in the draft. So from a talent standpoint, Arkansas is really good. Ricky Council also is a kid who actually leads them in scoring. He's going to be an NBA prospect. They have the Mitchell brothers. This is a deep team that's as young and, kind of just didn't hit their stride early on in the year. They struggled at a certain point this season. But this is a team that I think is capable of going on a run. You have Eric Musselman as the head coach, who's obviously proved he could win this time of year, not only at Arkansas. So I think they're going to get this one done. I think this will be a good game. This VCU St. Mary's game, I think this is going to be one of the best games of the entire first round. Now, the main reason for that, if you like offense, don't watch this game. I think this is going to be a rock fight of a game. VCU, listen, they proved against Dayton. Dayton looked like they had a complete control of that game. Their defense is so good that they can just shut you off completely. I know St. Mary's is somewhat similar in that aspect, but I like VCU, like Baldwin. I like the way this team can play. They got Brandon Johns, a transfer from Michigan, that a lot of people will remember from last year with Michigan's little run. So I like VCU to pull that off. I went back and forth on this game. Originally, I had Iona. Then I watched some Iona stuff, and they have no big that can bang with Adama Sanogo. I think Sanogo is going to control this game completely, and he's going to be the main reason that they get it done. And ultimately, I don't think from a talent standpoint that they can match up in this spot. TCU, I think they're going to take care of whoever they play. We'll get to who they're going to play later in the broadcast, but I think TCU, again, Mike Miles Jr., really good team, well coached by Jamie Dixon, who's had March Madness experience. I think they get this one done. There's my champ, Gonzaga, so they better not lose to Grand Canyon. Then I got Boise State over Northwestern. This will be another game that I think is really good, really competitive game. Love the way that they can score. They got Dagenhart, they got Max Rice, Marcus Shaver. Northwestern is much more dependent on Bubui and Chase Aldish. If either of them are off just a little bit, you're going to beat them. They only have 2 guys on their entire roster that average double figures. That can be problematic this time of year, especially if one of them is off in a game. Then you're just going home, and then UCLA will roll UNC Asheville. So there it is. That's my side of it. Ben, you got anything on this side that sticks out to you?
So the only thing I think that majorly sticks out to me, the VCU pick I like, but I do have St. Mary's. I agree. I think it's going to be like a low-scoring game, but that's not one of the 5-12s I have. I like the Arkansas. I like the Kansas. The one I really think, the 13 seed I have on this bracket this year is Iona. I understand they don't have an elite big, but they do have Osborne Shama, who's 7'0". So he's super tall, super big. He's like 220 pounds. And they have Nelly Jr. Josephs, who's 6'9", 240. So they do have 2 options who are at least big and can disrupt him in the paint. But they're not like elite big. So I understand that from that standpoint. He'll probably still have a great game, but Sanogo, I didn't say his name. Sanogo will have a good game still, but I just think Connecticut, we saw a little bit of inconsistency like earlier in the season, in the conference schedule at least. And I know they lost to Marquette. Like they closed out the season pretty well, but if there is a 13, I have to pick at least one 13 seed. And I think this will be the closest game. Like UConn will probably still win, but you got to pick at least a few upsets. I think Iona has at least the pieces. They have Rick Pitino as a coach. He's a really good coach. Shout out U of M, except that's actually his father. I don't know. Iona is just that team that I think could be scary come the tournament. As a team that has experience, they have a good coach. They have some bigs down low to at least disrupt Sanogo. So that's going to be my 13 pick. Other than that, I think most of the stuff I have the same. I have UCLA actually coming out of this region, though. I have UCLA winning one of my brackets. They were one of my favorite picks last year. They got bumped by the champions. UCLA to me is a team that is just more well-rounded than Gonzaga. They force more turnovers. They're just way better defensively, one of the best defenses in the country. They're second in turnover margin. Gonzaga, obviously we know they have a good offense, and Drew Timme, all that stuff, they can get going when they need to. But I think eventually that UCLA's defense is just going to come out on top. Defense wins tournaments, so I have UCLA coming out of the West.
They do have a very good defense. The only thing I'll point out, too, without Jalen Clark, I think that'll show up at times.
That's true. Yeah.
I think he was best defender in the conference, and he's the best.
He was.
So definitely, but still very good defensively. All right, guys, we're going to go just to my final 4. All right, we can just kind of zoom out, and then there we go. We'll just go here. Eventually I have Duke getting there. All right, I have Duke playing Baylor, right, in the Final Four.
Love it.
Yeah, I got Baylor coming out. A lot of people don't like Baylor. A lot of people don't like them. But here's the thing with Baylor. They have two of the best guards, in my opinion, in this entire tournament. I love big-time guards this time of year. Adam Flagler, a guy who's had experience. Keontae George, he's going to be a guy that you're going to see later on my list. I think he's a top 10 player in this entire bracket. That's my guy. So that's where I'm going with that. I think they do get there. And then I think Duke gets it done. Obviously, you guys see Duke having to get past a really good Baylor team, but again, I'm riding Duke. They've been hot. I can't pass them up at the moment. So I think Duke has a lot of value. Somebody also asked about futures of teams to make the Final Four, make the Sweet 16. You could do all that. I would definitely take a stab at Duke. I don't know what their Sweet 16 odds are right now, but I think that they have a fairly easy path actually to the Sweet 16. And then I do think that they get by Baylor. They get into the national championship game. I have Texas coming out of the Midwest, all right? Texas is getting a lot of disrespect, actually, which is surprising as a 2 seed. This is a team that they proved at the end of the year, they proved all year. I think they played 16 games this year versus top 25 teams. I mean, just an insane amount of games versus top 25 teams. They have played everyone that you could play this year. They played them really tough. They had a winning record. I think they were 3 or 4 games above 500 against top 25 teams. So the way their path sets up, I actually think it's really favorable in the Midwest. I think they have a pretty good region to come out of. So I like the way that they could come out. And then I have them playing against Gonzaga, who, again, I love this year. I think this is the most underrated Gonzaga season. I think they have Drew Timme, who could be – you can make it, an argument that is the best player in this entire tournament. But their guards, they can just shoot the lights out of the basketball. They defend well coached by Mark Few. And then there's my championship, guys. A 3 and a 5, Duke versus Gonzaga. And then my champion, which I think I don't know the current odds. Let me look for Gonzaga, but I think they were plus 14. Let me see. What's the odds right now for Gonzaga? All right, so plus 1,500 right now that you could get them to win. So I tweeted 14. It's actually 15. So you can even get a better number on Gonzaga. This is a team, again, I've been saying it all year, underrated, underappreciated as a 3 seed. I think they have a really favorable path to get here, and I got them beating Duke in the championship. So there it is, guys. There's my champ, Gonzaga. I think they get it done.
Ben, is your final 2 teams for the championship game a little remotely similar?
Probably not. I think
who do you have? Yeah, I was saying, who do you have, Ben?
So I have UCLA winning one bracket, and then I have Texas winning the other. So I love the Texas Final Four pick. I think they have a lot of the pieces. Timmy Allen. I think it sounds like he'll only be out for the first round, is what I'm seeing. He's actually questionable. But I mean, he'll be back for the meaningful games. It looks like, at least. So I mean, you never know, that could change. But I think with him, they're just one of the most complete teams. They have awesome turnover ratio. They have offense. They have defense. They have everything. I will say, if UCLA doesn't make it to the Final Four, I like Gonzaga too. Obviously, they're a 3 seed, but I do think that this is the year that it seems like people are they're flying under the radar a little bit. They're a 3 seed, and obviously people are talking about them still. But I mean, in the few previous years, they were expected to. They had Jalen Suggs, they had Chet Holmgren, they had these high level NBA players. And now it's they're a 3 seed. I don't hear as much noise about them, and I almost think that takes a little bit of weight off your shoulders. When everyone expects you to win, it is almost a little bit of pressure. Especially, you got to remember, these are college students. These aren't adult NBA players. So it is a little bit different for the pressure for these kids. And I know they're elite, so they don't necessarily feel it all the time. But I think that does take a little bit of the weight off their shoulders. Now they're a 3 seed. They're not necessarily, in quotation, expected to win. So I like Gonzaga for that reason, to make a run this season. But I don't have Duke making it out of their region. I actually have Marquette making it out of the East. So I like Marquette there. And then obviously UCLA in the West, but I do have Baylor and Texas in the South and Midwest.
Awesome. All right. Well, there it is, guys. Thanks for hanging with us. I know the bracket can take a little bit of time, but also if you guys want to enter a bracket of your own, make sure to do it with OddsChecker. Pretty cool stuff here. $1,000 in prizes. It's free to enter. March Madness OddsChecker Bracket Challenge. If you're watching on YouTube, the link's right there. If you're watching on Twitter, when this episode's over, go over to our Twitter page at OddsCheckerUS. And you can find it. If you still can't find the link somehow, just shoot me a DM and I will help you out. I'll get you there. Make sure to enter. Want to see what the people have. Let's see if you can beat us in the March Madness bracket. All right, there we go, guys. We did it. We made it through.
We made it through Matt's bracket. All right, guys. Before we head into our best bets, let's quickly run through today's final play-in games, okay? Guys, just shoot them off. What do you got for us? I'll start with Matt.
All right, let's do it. All right, so tonight's games, we got Fairleigh Dickinson, right, against Texas Southern. So here's my thing with Fairleigh Dickinson, guys. Pretty upset that they're here. Merrimack obviously won their conference tournament. Fairleigh Dickinson, though, they still got in because of the dumbest rule in college hoops that if you transfer conferences, that you cannot be eligible for the bracket. So listen, Fairleigh Dickinson, while they were, I think they were second, right, in the conference during the regular season too. But they weren't the best team in the conference. Texas Southern, though, this is a team that is way under 500. They finished like seventh in the conference, and remind you, they don't play in like the Big East, Big 12. They play in a really bad conference. Kind of crazy they're here, but they picked up steam at the end of the year. They were able to win a conference tournament. Now, Texas Southern, a lot of people are probably familiar with because they do win their conference a lot. They at least play in their conference championship a lot. They just had a down year. But listen, they're hot at the moment. They're playing really good basketball right now. I wouldn't fade them right now. And I again, Fairleigh Dickinson, they didn't even like win their conference. So why are they here? And I'll point out too, from a spread standpoint, even though Fairleigh Dickinson didn't win the conference and whatever, Texas Southern is still being overwhelmingly under 500. Kind of a poor season, but the line has continued to move their way. From a line standpoint, we'll get into this a little more later, but I think it's a Texas Southern play.
All right, what about you, Ben?
I love Texas Southern in this game too. For a lot of the same reasons. I know like their schedule looks a lot worse because it is, but you got to remember they played one of the hardest non-conference schedules. They were just trying to get their paycheck or whatever. So they played the fourth hardest non-conference schedule. They had games against Houston, Kansas, Auburn, like really tough non-conference schedule. They actually won one of those games, by the way. They beat Arizona State, who is a tournament team. So we know they at least have the chops to do it. And Johnny Jones has done like an excellent job. This is actually like people might forget. This is their third season in a row making the tournament. And the last 2 years, they were also in the play-in tournament. Or the play-in games, the first four, and they've won the last 2 years. So, I mean, they're hot right now. They have a coach who knows how to win in these first four games. They are coming into the season or this game with a little bit of momentum. I know they had like a tumultuous year, but you got to look at they had PJ Henry, one of their most used players. He was actually out for the first 5 conference games, and they went 0-5. Since then, they ended, I think, like 10-6 in their last 16 games. So they were better in the second half of the season than the first half. So a little bit of momentum coming into this game, especially winning the SWAC tournament. So I like Texas Southern.
All right. Well, I like when you guys both agree. What do you guys got for the Nevada-Arizona State game?
All right, I think this is a line that it should be flipped. So I think Nevada should be favored in this game. So I'm going to take Nevada on the money line. I like them here at their current price. I think it's 120, 125 on the money line. If you want to take the points too, I'm going to take the points, but I'll double up here. So you have plus 125 right now on the money line. Listen, this is a team that I think is – oh, wow. You okay, Melissa?
I just sneezed. I feel like that means Nevada's winning tonight on the money line.
Yeah, I mean, that caught me off guard. All right, just want to make sure. All right, so Melissa's okay. I think Arizona State, though, is a team, and I've said this, that they don't make that crazy shot against Arizona. They're not even here. Like, now Nevada, I don't think they should necessarily be here either because they closed the season ice cold. They lost to San Jose State, who, while they're not a bad team, they're not a tournament team by any stretch of the imagination. And that was kind of a must-win game. So I thought that was a really bad loss at the end of the year. But Nevada overall, I think they're the more talented team. I like the way that they could shoot the three ball. Jared Lucas is a transfer over from Oregon State. They got Blackshear, who could really fill it up. They have the best big in this game in Will Baker. I think they're going to be too much for Arizona State in this spot. I know the line has moved towards Arizona State. Despite that, it's kind of like that Pitt line. I mean, the same thing happened with the Pitt line. It opened up kind of as like a 1 or 1.5 and went up 2.5, and Pitt won the game. So I'm not overly worried about that. I've liked Nevada since the beginning, and they should be playing this game, guys, with new life because, again, they probably shouldn't be here. So there should be that factor that, all right, that pressure's off. Maybe they were playing tight at the end of the year because they were thinking about, we have to win this game to get into the tournament. Now you're here anyway. Just go out and play. Do want to point out, too, this is a big-time coaching battle. We got Bobby Hurley versus Steve Alford, two of the best college basketball players ever. So that'll be fun to watch them. A lot of championships between the two during their college days. But, yeah, this will be a good game for sure. I do think Nevada, though, gets it done on the money line. I think they match up well, and I'll take the dog on the spot.
What about you, Ben? What are you looking at in this game?
So I'm not probably going to bet this one. If anything, I actually kind of like the under. I do see it being a more defensive game. But I mean, funnily enough, two of the Arizona State players, Warren Washington and Desmond Cambridge, were actually from Nevada.
Yep.
So that's kind of a funny piece. So they're going to be playing against their old team. But
Eventually.
I will say Nevada, like 3 really bad losses to end the season. You can't be losing to Wyoming. I understand it was a road game, but at the end of the season, when you're trying to ramp up in March, that's a pretty bad loss to take. So I will say momentum-wise, Arizona State has the edge. But I see this kind of like the Pittsburgh, Mississippi State game. Like I think it's just gonna be super close down to the wire. So if anything, I do like that you're getting 2.5 points with Nevada. Could honestly come down to the final possession, but I don't really like anything in this game. I just see this game super close. I think it's going to be like super back and forth, tons of lead changes. So if anything, plus 2.5, play that final possession, but nothing other than that.
All of these playing games have come in like literally towards the last couple seconds of the game. I'm agreeing with you on this one, Ben. This seems like
yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, both were really good games last night. I expect tonight. Yeah, super.
Depends on who you ask.
Super close.
The first 4 always seem like just such good games. I don't know what it is. The first 4 is always good. So yeah, I mean, technically they should be because it's like the most even games seeding wise since they're like the same seed. But it just seems like they're always final possession games or like last minute games at least, which is fun.
That is exactly what happened yesterday too. So we'll see if that happens again tonight. Guys, before we head out, let's head into our best bets of the day. Ben, I'm going to start with you. Just rally it off for us.
Yeah, short and simple. I like UC Irvine actually. Last game of the night, so it's a little bit of burn the midnight oil. You get a late night game. I love getting the points here. We've seen some weird stuff in NIT, like Rutgers, the 1 seed. Losing last night. Everyone said they should have had an at-large, and then
why don't we
blew it.
You guys just underestimated Hofstra on that one. It was nothing to do.
Hofstra. Great team. Like,
hold on, Hofstra best player didn't play, so I mean that makes it even worse.
It does. But dude, for those of you who watched that game, one of the best overtimes in NIT history. Like no one was missing. Like Hofstra, I think they missed 1 shot in overtime. I'm not even kidding. Like they were on fire. I think I think we're gonna see something similar with UC Irvine. Funny enough, these two have actually met this season. UC Irvine won the game by 13 on the road at Oregon. So little bit of a thing. They do have a history. Could be a little overlooked here. I know Oregon, they're the much better team on paper. But they're playing without Jermaine Couisnard. They're playing without Will Richardson. N'Faly Dante is questionable for this game. It says he's hopeful, but then again, if he does play, he's still a little bit banged up. But those are the 3 leading scorers. So it's like, I think this is being overlooked a little bit. I think people are just looking like, oh, Oregon's a better team. UC Irvine, they're not that great. They don't play in a great conference, not a Power 5. So I think this is just an overlooked spot. I think this is going to be a much closer game. Like you're getting almost 3 possessions on a team that not only beat this team already this season, and that's when those 3 players were healthy, by the way. Now you're taking out the 3 best players, or at least 2 of them. I think this is a UC Irvine play. I think if they already beat them once this season, they have the confidence to come in on the road again and do it again. I like UC Irvine.
Well, I love getting the points. Matt, what about you? What do you got for us today for best bets?
All right, so for the best bet, for my best bet, it's going to be the game we're going to talk about, Texas Southern. So I'm going to take them here on the money line. I do like the way the line's moved. I like the way they're playing right now. Ben made some good points. It's a team who's done it before. They've experienced in this spot. Fairleigh Dickinson, meanwhile, they shouldn't be here. Whatever way they got here, I'm really upset with them. But Texas Southern, I think they get it done. Again, the experience of playing here before, I think that helps. They have guards who can take over a game. I like the way that they match up, and it's mostly I like the way that this line has moved. So the line's been moving in their favor the entire weekend, or since the line was put out, and now we see it all the way up to 2.5. So the money line at -140, you want to lock it in before it shoots up even more. But yeah, I think Texas Southern gets it done today. think they keep dancing. And technically, guys, don't want to get anyone too excited. Still undefeated in March Madness, 2-0. So if we win this, we're 3-0. That still means I technically have not a perfect bracket, but a perfect March Madness resume, which is pretty a big deal, this time of year. So I think
We
they
should
get.
have done a ladder March Madness.
Well, that's the thing. Good segue. Just said this. So tomorrow we are going to start it up. So I've said this since I started the ladder. It was basically made to win a March Madness, right? So like the whole fight, getting to day 10, getting to day 6, getting to day 2, which is better than day 1. A lot of people won't say that. Getting to all those days is important because now here we are. It's March Madness. There's no better time to win. A lot of people were saying it would have been cool to win a ladder on the Super Bowl. Imagine winning a ladder in March Madness. I mean, that just takes it to a whole nother level. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to kick it off. I already know my play. I already got it. I'm not saying it yet, but I have it ready for tomorrow's episode. So
you unveil it when you are ready.
I will unveil it when I'm ready, but it's in my brain. And if my brain, keeps working into tomorrow, which I hope it does, then we're good, and I will have the pick. So yeah, it's an exciting time. Winning a ladder in March Madness, nothing like it. So I've heard. I don't think anyone's done it yet. I'll be the first one, and I'm excited to do it.
Oh, I'm plastering that everywhere, like all over the internet. Matt won his March Madness ladder. Guys, for me, I actually decided to be a little vanilla today, and I went with the NBA slate of the night. I didn't do any hockey. The Ducks are playing, though. They're always a good play. I'm just saying, faded Ducks. Like, it's always a thing. But I am looking at the Heat, who are taking on the Grizzlies. They are at home. Now, John Morant has been out since, like, March 4th. Like, it's been a while, where he's dealing with some issues. We don't have to get into it. But, the Grizzlies really haven't missed a beat. They've won 3 in a row, too. Yet, they are taking on the Heat, who have been inconsistent. Now, I feel like I'm going to tell you guys a lot of things you're not going to like about the Heat, but they do really need to string together some wins if they want to get out of the play-in tournament and into the top 6 playoff spots. They're 4-4 in their last games. They're kind of desperate. I see them getting this and covering the spread easily. Now, I don't think Ben's going to like this one. Oh, my dog is barking.
There's a dog.
What does that mean?
That means it's the Grizzlies.
That's
the Grizzlies.
Nico, how could you do this to me? I was about to say, Miami has been the worst NBA team at the spread this season. They're 25-43 and 2. They've been awful. But Jimmy Butler's been on a tear. They've strung together some wins. They're making that push for the 6th seed. They're facing a short-handed Grizzly team. Steven Adams is out with his knee injury. We already talked about John Morant. I have a lot of faith in their coach, and I have a lot of faith in their team, especially at home. And the Grizzlies are not good on the road. They're 5-9 against the spread in their last 13 road games. And I know that if we had comments, someone would tell me, okay, well, they completely demolished the Mavericks on Monday. But we also have to remember the Mavericks were out. Duka. I just combined that. Doncic and Irving. So
yeah, that's a new name.
That's a good nickname. I like that.
I like that, Duka. I don't know how that even combines it, but it works out.
It makes sense. It makes.
Okay.
I know.
So we're gonna bet the Heat tonight. What do you guys think?
I think we're gonna parlay these real quick before we go, and then that's what we're gonna do. So I think if we parlay these, we'd get to like plus 500 ish.
I was just say 560. So I think we're on the same boat here. What about you, Ben?
For the night?
What?
Ben's frozen. Oh wow, Ben he's very confused. Ben, she said, what do you think this would be if it was like an odds? Like if you had to guess.
Oh, the odds. Yeah, we always do this. Plus 580, I'll say.
I think so it's somewhere it's in the 5s, I think. So just put this in, throw a parlay in. Why not?
Nigel, do you just know off the top of your head our wonderful producer Nigel?
Sometimes he knows. Well, if you do 2 -110s, it might be a little less than that.
It's like plus 260 for 2 -110s, I think.
And then you got a -140, which I guess I kind of screw over on that.
Plus 525.
Ooh,
so you win, Matt.
I won. Unofficial win because there's no parlay calculator today. But nonetheless, I do think that this gets home. You mentioned the Heat there, Melissa. I'm also on the Heat, so I like that.
Oh, I love when we're on the same page.
It's always good. It's always good. I didn't take UC Irvine, but then Ben kind of convinced me to. I didn't even know that Oregon was without 2 starters tonight. So now I'm thinking about taking them.
Well, the line's dropped. It was -10, so now it's -7.5. Yeah, so the line is moving accordingly. But don't sleep on UC Irvine. They're the anteaters. One of the best mascots in college basketball.
Like
Yeah.
Arthur. Did you guys watch Arthur? I mean, maybe Matt didn't because he's a child, but did you guys watch Arthur, that TV show on PBS? They were
Unfortunately,
anteaters.
yes.
Yes,
What do you mean, unfortunately? That was one of the greatest shows of all time.
It was very good, and I probably know more about Arthur than you, Melissa. So I won't question my Arthur knowledge. I bet I know more Arthur characters than you, more episodes. I would be willing to debate you all
My
day.
mom let me stay up past 7 p.m. to watch the Christmas special, so I don't think you know Arthur more than me.
Just saying, this is a song for another time, but we can bring it up. I do think though that this parlay gets home, and you guys. Why not?
And then we obviously are all keeping an eye out on what Aaron Rodgers has to say today in 30 minutes or less. So
yeah, that'll be big. Real quick, guys, before we go, too, one announcement that we do want to make. Tomorrow, 9:30 a.m., we're going to have my betting card. We're going to have Krabs' betting card on all day. Ben, I think you're hopping on in the afternoon. I think we got B-Matt hopping on later in the day. So, guys, there's going to be a lot of content going tomorrow. Tomorrow's obviously one of the biggest days of the year. I think, it should be a holiday. If you work, your boss should give you off. If he doesn't give you off, take off. Do whatever you have to do to get off tomorrow. 100%. But listen, it's going to be here all day. So we're going to be live streaming it. Make sure to get on. We're going to have, all my bets on screen with the betting card, Krabs, Ben, B-Matt, and then we're going to try to hop on. I will be traveling to Orlando tomorrow, in the afternoon, but we're still going to be on the stream. We're still going to be talking. Ben's going to be there. It'll be fun. So make sure you guys get on. Don't miss out. I'm fired up. Feels like Christmas Eve, guys. It's going to be tough to sleep tonight.
It is, yeah.
Well, with that being said, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with early in the morning. Just open your eyes and log on to Twitter right away, and we'll see how it goes.
Why not?
A full day of betting. It's every degenerate's dream. All right, guys. For OddsChecker, this has been another episode of The Morning Edge, and Matt will catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Happy betting.